Module 21, conversion optimization and funnel design. So this is all about turning attention into action and action into revenue, fixing the leaks, building the bridge, and activating all of your efforts with campaigns. So by now, you've built three things. You've got traffic from Module 19. You have your content from Module 20 and your early systems from Module 18. Those get people to show up. They don't get people to act. That's a different job. This module is the conversion layer, turning attention into action and action into revenue. This is about getting the motion going. Modules 19, 20, and 21 together form your core growth engine: traffic, messaging, conversion. If traffic is the front door, conversion is what happens once they're actually inside. You've earned the attention. Now, this module is about converting it into revenue. So let's get precise about what conversion optimization actually means. Conversion optimization is improving how effectively someone moves from interest to action. That action depends on your business. It might be a purchase, a sign up, a booking, or a click. Here's the operator definition: conversion optimization is designing the customer journey to reduce friction and increase action. Notice the word designing. This is something you build on purpose, not just something that you hope for. Every step between interest and action is a place that you either help the customer or it's a place where you might lose them. Conversion optimization means designing the journey to reduce that friction and increase the customer's ability to act on it, to actually action. The easiest way to see where you're losing people is to picture a leaky bucket. Think of your system as a bucket. Traffic fills the bucket. That's your top of funnel. Leaks are your lost conversions. At the bottom of the bucket, you have a controlled drip, but you might be losing people in holes that you're not even aware about. You can keep pouring more traffic in, but if the bucket is leaking, you're just paying to lose people faster. The leaks come from a few predictable places. Those could be things like unclear messaging, weak landing pages, too many steps, lack of trust, and confusing offers. Conversion optimization is simply patching the leaks. Most founders try to just add more water. The smarter move is to patch the holes. That way, you're not spending money on lost customers. Traffic fills the bucket. Conversion optimization is fixing those leaks instead of just pouring in more water. That also gets your conversion percentage higher and less loss of less lost money. And you don't guess where the leaks are. You find them with real data. You don't you don't just guess, you observe. Look at the signals. Drop off points in your funnel, bounce rates on pages, click through rates, time on page, heat maps that show where people actually stop engaging. These are signals that tell you three things: where people lose interest, where confusion happens, and where friction exists. The operator move is a loop. Identify the friction, simplify it, then test again. And you just keep doing that over and over and over again until you see your numbers where you want them. Data turns conversion from an opinion into a decision you can act on. You observe the data to find the friction, then you simplify and test, never just guess. Once you can actually see the friction, it helps to understand where conversion sits in your whole system. Your system runs in a line: content, then traffic, then the conversion layer, then the customer. Conversion is the bridge, but conversion isn't one size fits all. Each platform has a different intent level. Social media is low intent. The user is browsing, so your goal is just to capture attention, drive interest, then generate a click. Landing pages are mid intent. The user is doing evaluation, so your goal is to guide their decision making, reduce the friction, and ultimately convert. E-commerce is high intent. The user is ready to buy, so your goal is to simplify the purchase process, build immediate trust, and remove any instances of hesitation. Retail or physical, that's a quick decision. The user is deciding fast, so your goal is to grab their attention, communicate fast, and then trigger action. Conversion is that bridge that we talked about. How you build that bridge depends upon the intent of the platform that you're talking about. Now, even though the platforms differ, every high converting system shares the same backbone, and that's where we slow down. The six elements that you need to look at, regardless of the platform, is first, a clear headline. The headline has to deliver immediate clarity. Tell them exactly what you want them to know. It answers three questions fast. What is it? Who's it for? Why does it matter? If a visitor can't find those in seconds, they're gone. Second, strong first impression and logical flow. You have seconds to keep their attention once you got it with the headline. The first impression decides whether they stay. After that, the flow has to be logical. Guide the user to understand, then trust, then decide. Each section should set up the next one. Nothing makes the visitor work to figure out what's going on. The third is minimal friction. You want to reduce three things: reduce the number of steps, reduce confusion along the way, and reduce the times or the number of times that they have to make decisions. Every extra step is a chance to lose somebody. Every extra decision you put on them slows them down, and time ultimately kills deals. So you want to take decisions off their plate. The fourth item is trust signals and a clear next steps. You want to include proof, testimonials, reviews, evidence, anything that shows that you've done this before and that it has worked. They want to see other people that look like them making the same decision. That closes trust. And trust is what closes the gap between interest and action. You're taking things from just a logical decision to an emotional decision. Then make the next step obvious. It should always be clear what you want them to do next. A confused visitor does nothing, so never leave them guessing. Regardless of platform, high converting systems share six things: a clear headline, a strong first impression, logical flow, minimal friction, trust signals, and clear next step. Those are the six things we just covered. Landing pages. The landing page is where you actually control this conversion. It is your highest leverage asset. You can sometimes a customer can sometimes buy your service or product on a domain platform, but oftentimes all of the different platforms that they might see you on are funnels to get them onto a landing page. Landing page is where you know exactly how they got there, so it's a high intent asset as well. The operator rule is simple: one page, one audience, one goal. You're taking everything your business does and you're simplifying it into one focused experience. When a page tries to serve everyone and do everything, it converts no one. So pick the single audience, pick the single goal, and design the whole page around that one outcome. This is really important when you're running campaigns, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So one page, one audience, one goal, that's the landing page where you control conversion. But a great page still doesn't move on its own. You activate it with campaigns. Traffic and content alone are not enough. A campaign is a focused push toward a specific goal. It could be a product launch, a limited time offer, a lead gen push, a seasonal promotion. There is too many to name. There are literally thousands of examples of different types of campaigns that you can run on a given product or service. Here's the distinction. The funnel is the structure, the campaign is the activation. They should be built hand in hand because one feeds off of the other. Campaigns matter because they focus attention, they align messaging, increase urgency, they drive higher conversion. Campaigns are dynamic. They require testing, they require iteration, timing, adjustment, messaging changes. This is where human oversight matters most. A campaign isn't set it and forget it. It is an activation of that structure that you've already built with the landing page. Whether it's a page or a campaign, the way you improve it is the same: through iteration. Conversion improves through iteration, and it's not usually one big fix. The loop is 5 steps. You observe behavior, you identify friction, you simplify your messaging, reduce the number of steps, and then you test variations on each one of those things. Then you run it again. Each pass tightens the experience a little bit more. The operator rule here: small improvements compound into large gains. You're not looking for one perfect page. You're building a system that gets better every single cycle. Most conversion problems trace back to the same handful of gaps. It could be unclear messaging where the visitor can't tell what it is or why it matters. You've got the wrong audience. You've got weak trust. There's no proof, so the visitor hesitates. You've got too many steps, which is where you're losing conversions. Or you could have poor alignment between what's on your what your content is and what your page is doing. The promise that brought them here doesn't match what the page that they land on. When you spot one of these things, you don't have to fix it by hand. There are tools for it. So let's talk about some of those tools. The systems for this module are landing page builders. We've got analytics tracking and testing tools. Use the funnel and conversion toolkit to map your funnel. Find your drop-off points. Plan what to test next. Use a landing page builder to help you build and ship a one-page, one audience, one goal experience fast. Analytics tracking is how you observe friction instead of guessing. Testing tools are how you run the variations, and make sure you're paying attention to the data that comes back from each one of those tests. Before you leave this model, run the reflection. Where are people dropping off? What's unclear in your current framework? What friction already exists, and what do you think you can simplify? Think about what you should test next, and then let's bring it together. This module was the conversion layer of your growth engine. You should now understand conversion is where revenue happens. And you don't always need more traffic. You need better clarity, better flow, and a better overall experience. You find friction by observing data, and then you simplify and you test in a loop where small improvements compound. Your landing page is your highest leverage asset. One page, one audience, one goal. And campaigns are what activate the funnel. And the funnel sits in your architecture, with the landing page being the key asset. You've now built traffic, messaging, and conversion, your growth engine. The next step is to take everything converting at the top and turn it into a repeatable, structured way to close. And that's what we do in Module 22, sales systems and deal flow. I will see you guys there.